And our in-depth coverage of campaign 2016 continues this morning. Joining me live in studio this morning, our Eyewitness News political analyst, Joe Fleming. Let's first of all talk about, it really was an historic night for Hillary Clinton. Obviously the first woman to ever be nominated for president in a major political party. How do you think she did?
I think she did very well last night. I think she had to come on and she had to go after Barack Obama, Joe Biden, and her husband. I think her speech was well written, and she really presented it in a very strong fashion. She humanized herself during the speech.
All right, one of the headlines obviously coming out of the convention this week was the Bernie Sanders holdouts.
Yep.
Do you think she did enough to convince them, or even those considering a third-party candidate, to shift in her direction?
I think at the very beginning of the speech she talked about, I hear you, and she said that your cause is our cause. So she's trying to get them to come across. There was a Pew poll that showed about 90% of the Bernie Sanders supporters are already leaning towards her or supporting her. The ones who are at the convention, keep in mind, are the hard-nosed Bernie Sanders supporters.
Yeah.
Those will be the last ones to come around. But I think the rank-and-file Bernie Sanders supporters are coming around. Trump really is not an option for them.
All right, so we did hear from President Obama. You mentioned that just a few moments ago, where he gave Hillary Clinton a full-throated endorsement.
Exactly.
Obviously plays well within the Democratic Party, but what about with independents?
Well, I think it's going to play well with independents. Barack Obama's job approval ratings right now are over 50%. He's appealing to a lot of people. And the thing is, though, it's going to help her with independents, but she has to get the independents. I think a lot of her speech last night was geared at the independents, the white middle-class voter in the country, talking about jobs and the economy. She feels that she understands they are frustrated. She's trying to address those issues, and I think she's trying to get those middle-class voters back. All
right, you talked a lot, Joe, before we went on camera about trying to see the human side of Hillary. A lot of people spending time to humanize her in the past couple of days. Do you think we're going to see a swing in her favorability now that we've seen a little more personal portrait of her?
Well, I think that was the plan of the Democratic Party. The question is the general public going to buy it? They spent 4 days trying to make Hillary look more human. They talked about her as a mother. They talked about the Children's Defense Fund, things that she's done that a lot of people probably do not know about because they hear a lot of negative things about her. We'll see in the next couple of weeks if this has helped and had an effect on her. If it did, they're going to continue this throughout the campaign.
All right, and speaking of the next few weeks, what does Donald Trump need to do as we get closer to the general election? Because he keeps coming out with these controversial statements. Obviously, the headline this week was a statement he made about Russia spying. What does he need to do?
He needs to get his campaign more refined. He has to stop putting meat on the bones. He has to talk about what he's going to do. You know, he says, I alone can handle this problem. He has to show how he's going to handle the problem. Last night, Hillary talked about, it's not I, it's we. So he's going to have to explain how things are going to change in this country if he's the president and put meat on those bones.
And real quickly, when you're talking about the latest polls, you're saying wait till after Labor Day.
I think after Labor Day, look at it more closely, because right now the polls keep swinging up and down. Donald got a bounce after the convention. I expect her to get a bounce after this convention. But after Labor Day, we'll get a better idea.
All right, Joe, thanks so much again for joining us and for campaign coverage anytime. As we follow the ongoing presidential race, you can head to our website, WPRI.com. And we continue our in-depth coverage of campaign 2016 this morning. Joining us in studio, our political analyst Joe Fleming for his 100th appearance of the election season. We love to have you joining us.
My pleasure.
All right, let's talk about the speech itself from Hillary Clinton. Obviously, a history-making moment for her. What were some of the takeaways from that speech for you?
Well, basically, I got 3 things out of it. I think the speech was in 3 sections. One, the first part, she defined herself, talked about being human, things that she's done in life. Second part, she really tried to appeal to the middle class, talking about jobs and the economy. And the third part of the speech, she went after Donald Trump and tried to show how Donald Trump was not the person to be president. So I think those are the 3 goals she had in mind last night. I think she basically tried to achieve those last night.
Yeah, some of the things that she said about Donald Trump in her speech, obviously his big tagline has been "Make America Great Again." She said, hey, Donald, how about if you start making things in America again? What was your reaction to his response to those jabs?
Well, it was a typical Donald Trump response that you get all the time. He loves to do responses like that. I think the thing, however, is these responses after a while start to wear thin with people. I mean, he needs to put meat on the bones when he talks about things. Okay, he wants to make America great again. How is he going to make it better again? Hillary made a point last night to talk about Donald talks about I can do this, only I can do this. And she went to the point that it has to be a we. Everyone has to work together. So Donald, I think, has to really adjust some of his stuff over the next few months.
All right, so when these two finally start to debate, obviously we've seen their strengths and weaknesses individually. Once they're together, what do you think we're going to see from both candidates, strength, weakness?
I think the strength of Hillary, she's going to try to really stress her experience, what she has done, what she has accomplished working with people. Donald Trump, again, is using the fear factor. He's going to try to tell America that we have to change the way we're going. The country's going in the wrong direction. And that if you trust me and go with me, I will change things around.
Okay, but as far as a weakness for both?
Oh, weakness, again, Donald Trump's weakness is basically he does not have a lot of specifics on the issues. He's very thin on them. He's basically saying, just trust me. Hillary's problems is she has a lot of baggage to the fact she's been around for 20 some years already, more than that. And people have opinions of her and they're locked in on those opinions. They have to really try to change those. That's her big weakness.
All right, we're going to be really looking forward to that first debate. It should be very exciting. All right, Joe Fleming is going to join us again at 8:30 with more perspective on the convention from this week. And for more information about campaign 2016, just head to WPRI.com. We have in-depth coverage of campaign 2016 now, and joining us live in studio, our political analyst, Joe Fleming. I'm a little tongue-tied. You're a little tired. You were here on Eyewitness News at 10 and 11 last night. You watched it all live when Hillary Clinton made her address. And let's talk briefly about some of your takeaways.
Well, obviously it was a historic speech. First woman nominated by a major party as the president. I think she presented herself very well. She had to follow President Obama, President Clinton, and Vice President Biden. So she had to really deliver a really strong speech. It was a tough act to follow. I think she really did last night. I think she really put the speech in 3 categories. The first part, she tried to define herself, who she is, what she's done in life, so people get a better understanding of her. Second part, she must have mentioned at least 12 times jobs. She really talked about jobs in the economy in the first 100 days of job bill in Congress. I think she was really trying to appeal to the middle class. She said they were frustrated. I understand your frustration. I don't blame you for being frustrated. And the third part was she took attacks on Donald Trump once again, trying to show him the type of president he would be.
All right, let's compare convention to convention last week to this week. Who do you think had more success coming out of it as far as delivering the message that they wanted to deliver?
Well, I think the Republicans last week had a lot of bumps in the convention with the plagiarism, Ted Cruz not endorsing Donald Trump. I think those were things that hurt it. The Democrats had a little stumble at the beginning with the email scandal, but when Bill Clinton came on Tuesday night, no one's talked about that since then. The Democrats handled that well by putting it behind them, changing the party chairman right away, where the Republicans drew their things out. The Democrats seemed more united than the Republicans in the end, where Cruz did not endorse Trump. Bernie Sanders did endorse Hillary Clinton. So I think the Democrats were smoother, but I think both had their high points.
All right, so that now with the conventions behind both candidates, they focus on campaigning towards the general election. What do you think we're going to see from these candidates on the campaign trail now?
Well, I think we're going to see 50 separate elections going on now. It's no longer one election. I think the candidates are going to be concentrating on probably about 10 swing states. Most of the advertising, most of the effort will go into those states. They'll be trying to get their message out. The other 40 states pretty much are either going to vote for Trump or Clinton already. They're going to focus there. They're going to try to get their message. Hillary's going to talk about trying to rebuild her trust, get people to like her a little bit more, to bring her negatives down. Donald Trump is going to keep hitting on the fear, I believe.
All right, so with Bernie doing so well in some states, including, Rhode Island, New Hampshire, what do you think Hillary Clinton's strategy will be? I mean, in New Hampshire, it was like a knockout. I think he got almost 70-something% of the vote.
I think a lot of the Bernie Sanders people will go over to Hillary Clinton. I think when they look at the two candidates, they might say, well, we agree with Donald Trump on trade, but there's nothing else we agree with him on. Hillary's more in line with us. The other thing is the United States Supreme Court. The Bernie Sanders people do not want to see an ultra-conservative appointed to the Supreme Court. And as a result of that, they'll probably go with Hillary Clinton. All
right, interesting times ahead. I'm sure we'll be checking with you, Joe, many times along the way. Go take a nap. You deserve it. All right. If you'd like to learn more about the campaign or to see this interview, just head to WPRI.com.